Hey dreamers! I think I may have finally figured out an arrangement of just putting my phone up to my laptop. So hopefully you can hear me because the speakers are down there, but I think you should. So you don't have to worry about crazy movement from me, at least today. Um, and if you can't hear me, let me know and I can re-record or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I just woke up from a Sunday afternoon nap, and aren't those the best? Those are just the best, which is why I'm late today. We had a birthday party last night, and we're just kind of trying to get out the door today, which was a big deal for us. Um, but it actually just so happened that we had a guest speaker at our church. Her name is Sarah Harmeyer, and she has something called Neighbor's Table. You guys should look it up. It's called Neighbor's Table, and her whole purpose is to have a lot of people around her table every year. She's just like hospitality and grace in her home is her thing, which is why grace in my home was a great topic for me today because it's just very fresh for us. And anyway, check it out, neighborstable.com. She's got a great story, and she also has some amazing tables. So if you want like a big farmhouse table for your home, she's a great person to start with. But I think you'll just be really inspired by her mission, because I am. I have had the tremendous opportunity with the job that I'm leaving, actually, to have traveled the world. A lot of places, like 9 countries with them. And one of my favorite things is sitting around the table with believers and swapping stories and hearing about their lives and learning about their culture. Sorry, this is fresh. And just being with them for a few days, because it's often very different and very difficult. And when I come home, I always want to have that same grace and curiosity and love for the people in my home that I do for the people whose homes that I have inhabited for a few days. And that's not always easy for me. And I think we all experience this. We all experience that. It's a lot easier to maybe lash out or get frustrated with the people that are around us all the time. And so that's why I really love today's prayer. It's not only that we should love and have grace for those within our home, but we should also have grace with ourselves in our home and the things that we do. And that's something I get frustrated with sometimes, is that I don't like to clean. Neither does my husband, so we don't do it very much. But it's like I always want to have people over and we have to clean, or if we were just talking with our small group today about how we want to have a culture where, within our group, that there is some like spontaneous gathering and just hanging out at people's houses. And I really had to reflect on myself and go, well, our house is never clean enough for people to be over. And realize how, A, judgmental that was for myself, but B, how my goals aren't necessarily aligning with my hope or what I want in my home. And so there's just some reflection there, but so I have to forgive myself for those things, but also to just start realigning what I'm looking for and knowing that if I want people around my table, I need to be intentional and invite and create a space that's comfortable for everyone who comes. So it was just really lovely. I feel like even though that was sort of a hard truth to kind of recognize, where at least my husband and I are both really excited about being more intentional about having people around our table, whether it's neighbors or friends or any of that. And so just learning to be gracious with ourselves too. And that's what really stood out in the prayer to me today, was just this like overwhelming need for grace with ourselves even, or a right view of ourselves. So, excuse me, the part I underlined was the last paragraph. At the end of the day, when I lay my head on my pillow, I want to rest because of you. Keep me from lying awake recounting all my failures for the day with a heavy chest of defeat. Keep me from finding peace in my own works if I happened to have a smooth day. My desire is to rest my head with a humble spirit, knowing full well all my successes are because of you and all my failures are covered in your grace because of Christ. And I think that's something that I'm not always great at, right? Is having a right view of my success or my failure. I put too much of that on myself or on those around me when really that's something that is sort of outside of our arena. And so just remembering that all of your successes are of God. So maybe you don't get credit for them. You can still be excited for them and celebrate and point people to Jesus in those moments. But that the great thing about that is that it balances out to be all your failures aren't on you, like they're not on God either, but they're covered. Like you don't have to dwell on them. You can learn from them and move forward because we're forgiven, we're free, all of those things. Like our identity is not in them. All these things that we have already talked about are helping us to be set free from those things. And that's such a gift that just a lot of people don't have. A lot of religions don't have. A lot of places don't have. And so for that to be part of our lives every day and recognize that is huge and should really just be a part of your heart. Like remember that every day to keep that with you because it's really important that you have grace for yourself. That's something I'm learning a lot about is having grace with myself, especially in a sort of like up and down time. So yeah, have grace with yourself. Have grace with those in your home. The verse that I liked out of this one is Ephesians 2:10, which comes after Ephesians 2:8 and 9, right? So, for by grace you have been saved through faith, not of works, lest anyone can boast. For we are his workmanship, which is where it picks up here, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So what I like is that it doesn't release us from those good things that we should be doing, but it also doesn't give us the credit, right? We're just obeying. We're walking. And so that's how we balance this like tricky thing, this business thing that you're called to, this dream that you have. You are absolutely prepared and called for it. Totally 100%. It is all you, friend. Because it was created for you. He prepared it for you beforehand. That we should walk in them, that we should do them. And that's what's exciting is that He's set it before us and we just have to walk in it. We just have to obey and know that whatever unfolds is the Lord's will for that moment. So just keeping that fresh in your mind as well, that you have this freedom, and that comes with responsibility, but it's been prepared for you, like that crazy thing. It's like my post yesterday, that crazy thing. Like so many people this week have sat with me on the phone and we start having one conversation because they sort of wanted, we're on the phone to talk about a certain thing, but it totally turns another way because what's really on their heart is this big vision that they have. And they feel like it's crazy. And I'm sitting here with you. I feel really crazy some days. Like how could I leave a job that literally had everything I wanted, was cause-oriented, used my gifts, had an amazing community of people, and actually paid me to travel the world to tell people stories. Like, that's really scary. To then say, well, I'm going to give up all those dream things that I wanted because God asked me to have another dream. And that's hard. I don't know when we'll get to the dreams chapter, but y'all, that one will tear you up. 17. Day 17 will be dreams. Because that one did a number on me the first time. So I know we're talking about grace in our home, but I just want you to know that those things that you're called to are important. Even if they're small, even if by the world standard they seem small, or even if you feel like you need to downplay them because they're different. Don't. Give yourself credit for knowing the Lord's voice and following after it. And even if it results in a failure by the world standards, it's success because you obeyed. So that's okay. So have grace for yourself in that, and grace in your home. So that you don't take all of that on you and feel like you have to be perfect by everyone else's standards. You only need to obey, to love and obey, and that's all you need to do. So don't be tempted to follow a dream that you think you can do completely and solely. I think you absolutely should believe that you're called to do something. But I think that the best dreams have that little element that we feel a little unprepared for, because like we've just been talking about this whole time, that's when God shows up and shows himself, and he gets glory out of that, and people hear about Jesus out of that. Like, that's so exciting. So exciting. So, today in my prayer, I was just really focused on forgiving myself for the unspoken expectations that I sort of put on my home, but also allowing myself to be open and praying to be more inviting and intentional and caring, so that we dwell well. There's a book that I want all of you to read. You don't have to read it, but it's really, really, really good. It's called Dwell, and it's by Barry Jones, Dr. Barry Jones, who is a professor at Dallas Seminary, and it was recommended to me by a friend, but it really captures this, like, sort of like the neighbor's table thing, and just the sitting around the table with believers thing, like how to dwell in a place, how to balance like an inner spirituality and an external missiality, missionalness, whatever that word is. Totally recommend it. I might do a giveaway for it. It's literally one of my favorite books that I've ever read, because it captures so much of what I experience in other places, and that's really what I want to create here, in this community, but also in my own home. So I want you to do a couple of things today. Today I am really reflecting on what I want my home to be, and giving myself some room to dream for that, right? And room to be intentional with that. But even in that, I'm giving myself room to mess it up. I'm giving myself a room to just be a mess and be messy. I'm giving myself a room to not invite people over sometimes, to really just have grace and space in my life, because that's really what we need. So I encourage you to do that too. What is your vision for your home? And how can you be intentional about cultivating that, but not to the point that you ruin, that you get bound up in that perfectionism? It's super important. So keep that all in mind as you go, and just hope that you are having a great time. Day 11, I'll be back in the morning for day 12. And we're talking about simplicity, which I'm also kind of passionate about in these days. And so yeah, just looking forward. I will be, right after this, sharing the giveaway winner. And then next week there will be some other fun things. So keep an eye out for that. And enjoyed having you guys here this Sunday afternoon. Hope you have a relaxing next few hours as you prepare for a work day, whatever that looks like for you on Monday. So talk to you soon.